Live NFL trivia every Tuesday night on Twitch at 9 p.m. Eastern. Come show off your football knowledge and have a chance to win cash prizes. Check the link in the description to find out more. And now, on with our feature presentation. Starting a game off strong is something that everyone emphasizes and harps on. If you can get off on the front foot right away, that's always better than having to catch up and play from behind. If we're not even 10 minutes into the game and you're already up by 2 possessions, that's a really good sign. If you're up by 3 possessions, that's almost perfect. And if for some reason we're not even 10 minutes into the game and you're up by 4 possessions, the game is pretty much over. That raises the question, what's the greatest start in NFL history? In 1985, the Cincinnati Bengals took on the Dallas Cowboys. Literally 8 minutes into the game, the Bengals led by 4 possessions. The game started at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. By 1:20, it was already over. It was a start so good that we have never seen anything like it. And this is the story behind the greatest start in NFL history. Now, before I talk about the game, we need some context leading up to the moment. It's December 8th, 1985, and the Dallas Cowboys are traveling north to Riverfront Stadium to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. To say that this is a massive game for both teams would be an understatement. Starting with the Cowboys, they're sitting atop the NFC East by 1 game over the New York Giants at 9-4. Now, barring anything crazy, the Cowboys should be in the postseason, since they've got a 2-game cushion on a playoff spot with 3 to play. But a win here would not only go a long way in helping them claim the division title, but would help them gain home field advantage in the divisional round, as the Los Angeles Rams lead the NFC West with an identical 9-4 record in that quest for the number 2 seed. As for Cincinnati, normally a 6-7 team back then should have absolutely nothing to play for. But what you have to remember is that in 1985, the AFC Central was abysmal. It's one of the worst divisions of all time, and rightfully so. Even though the Bengals started 0-3, even though the Bengals were below 500, and even though they had a negative point differential and literally the worst defense in the AFC in points allowed, they are still somehow just 1 game back at the Cleveland Browns for the division lead. If the Bengals can run the table, then by some miracle, they might actually be able to make it into the postseason. Unfortunately for Cincinnati on paper, the Cowboys were not only a really good team, but they were peaking at just the right time. They were starting to play some of the best football of the season. After getting destroyed by the Bears 44-0, over the previous 2 weeks, the Cowboys were looking as strong as they ever had under head coach Tom Landry. They defeated the Eagles 34-17, then followed it up on Thanksgiving with a 35-17 victory over the Cardinals. It was the first time in 2 years that they scored 30 points in back-to-back games. And now they're playing a Cincinnati team that they had never lost to, and had outscored over their previous 2 meetings by 53 points. Dallas was playing well, and they were feeling incredibly confident, maybe a bit too confident. Before the game, Cowboys center Tom Rafferty took this newfound confidence as an opportunity to trash-talk Bengals nose tackle Tim Crumry. Rafferty had been a longtime starter on the offensive line of the Cowboys for over a decade, whether it was right guard or center, and had started over 130 games for the team by this point. He had no respect whatsoever for Crumry, saying that he had no idea who he was, and then mispronouncing his name to make it sound like Tim Crummy. Rafferty was about to find out just who Crumry and the Bengals were, because what happened next was an avalanche unlike anything that we've ever seen. What makes everything that you're about to see incredible is that the Cowboys started the game off with the ball. This 4-possession lead in 8 minutes started with the Bengals playing defense. I don't think any play sums up the collapse of the Cowboys more than this one right here. On the second play from scrimmage, Tony Dorsett somehow loses 30 yards on a fumble. The good news is that the Cowboys recover. The bad news is that they're facing 3rd and 37. And instead of just trying to run the ball and get some breathing room, Danny White drops back to pass in his own end zone. He gets sacked by Russ Browner for a safety. Cincinnati leads 2-0. When the Bengals get the ball back, this great reverse play to the eventual 4-time Pro Bowl running back James Brooks gets Cincinnati in the red zone. And then 2 plays later, Larry Kennebrew punches it in from 3 yards out to give the Bengals a touchdown. There's 9:58 left in the first quarter, and the Bengals already lead at 9-0. Remember that they entered this game as underdogs. It's about to get a whole lot worse or better depending on what team you root for. 3 plays into the next drive for Dallas, Danny White hits Doug Hosby over the middle for a first down. The only problem? He fumbles the ball. Cincinnati recovers it. And 2 plays later, the Bengals decide to take a shot deep down the field and break the Cowboys back. It works. Boomer Esiason hits first-round pick and Offensive Rookie of the Year Eddie Brown for a 45-yard touchdown. After the extra point, Cincinnati leads 16-0. It's already a 3-possession game because remember that back then, there was no 2-point conversion. And not even a minute had passed since their last touchdown. Dallas gets the ball back and they need something, just anything here to stop the bleeding. That doesn't happen. Danny White gets sacked and the Cowboys are forced to punt it away after going 3 and out. And when the Bengals get the ball back, facing a 3rd and 5, they decide to do a quick handoff to James Brooks. He walks into the end zone untouched for a 27-yard touchdown. With 6 minutes and 13 seconds left in the first quarter, the Bengals already led 22-0. We're not even 9 minutes into the game, and Cincinnati is up by 4 possessions, making this a complete rout. Cincinnati wound up winning at 50-24, which could have been 57 points if they didn't just let the clock run out on the goal line at the very end. This was a complete and utter annihilation from the start, and with some historical perspective, it gets even crazier. Here are some fun facts about this blowout. This was the most points that the Cowboys had ever allowed in the first quarter of the game, and the Bengals shattered that quarter-century-long record in the first 8 minutes. When the Bengals jumped out to this lead, they did so with 198 yards of total offense. In that stretch, the Cowboys had negative 24 yards. Do the math, and 8 minutes in, the Bengals had already outgained the Cowboys by 222 yards. The game was so ugly that afterwards, Bengals linebacker Reggie Williams admitted that he got bored, saying, "Can we speed this thing up a little?" He added, "I think we all feel a little brainwashed about the Cowboys being the class of the NFL. And after a game like this, I can't say that I blame him." And Cowboys head coach Tom Landry was gracious in defeat, saying that Boomer Esiason played amazing, and adding that the Bengals played a perfect game offensively. As a side note, I made quite a few videos about Landry, one of which you can check out by clicking the card in the upper right corner. If you want to compare this game to other famous blowouts in NFL history, consider this. Remember when the Jaguars beat the Dolphins 62-7? With 6:13 left in the first quarter, the Jaguars were only up 10-0. Remember when the Patriots beat the Titans 59-0 and led by that margin after 3 quarters? With 6:13 left in the first, it was still scoreless. The 62-7 massacre that the Saints delivered on Sunday Night Football against the Colts, New Orleans only led 7-0. Compare it to any blowout, and it's incredible just how well Cincinnati played, and how we might not see anything like it again. And if you really want something incredible to compare it to, listen to American Pie. At the start of the song, it's 0-0. By the end of the song, the Bengals are up by 4 possessions. Dallas made the postseason and won the NFC East, though they lost in the divisional to the Los Angeles Rams, after Eric Dickerson famously ran wild on them for 248 yards. As for Cincinnati, they were unable to keep up their momentum, losing their final 2 games to finish at 7-9, missing the postseason. But while the season ended on a sour note, their fans will always have this moment. 4 possession leads are almost insurmountable. They usually require domination over an extended period of time. For the Bengals, it took just 8 minutes. Be sure to like this video, ring the notification bell, subscribe down below if you haven't already, as it helps the channel out a lot, and be sure to check out Twitch every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. If you want to see videos like this condensed down to 60 seconds, then follow me on TikTok at JRGator9 and subscribe to 60-Second NFL History on YouTube. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can call on Patreon and request future video topics in the description below.